I'll take care of it, Evan said, holding his hand out for my phone. I was going to reply, I said. He smiled like I'd said something cute. I know. I just don't want you stressed. He typed fast, confident, like my problems were simple tasks on his list. When he gave the phone back, he kissed my cheek. There, he said. All fixed. I laughed even though something felt off. You always fix things. That's my job, he replied. You think too much. When I first met Evan, that confidence pulled me in. He spoke clearly, decided quickly, and never doubted himself. Next to him, I felt quiet but safe. Wear this, he'd say, handing me a shirt. Trust me. Are you sure? I'd ask. He'd grin. When have I been wrong? I stopped choosing after that. At parties, he answered questions meant for me. He doesn't like attention, Evan would say. I'll explain. People nodded. I smiled. It felt easier than correcting him. One night I said, you talk for me a lot. He pulled me close. Because I know you. You freeze up. I don't think I do. He kissed my forehead. You just don't notice. Maya noticed. He decides everything, she said quietly when Evan stepped away. Are you okay with that? He cares, I replied. That's different. She looked at me for a long second. Just don't lose yourself. I laughed it off. I won't. Later, Evan checked my messages while sitting beside me. Who's this? He asked. A coworker. He nodded. You don't need them. You have me. It sounded sweet. I let it be sweet. When my boss called about overtime, Evan listened, then said, give me the phone. You don't have to. I want to. After the call, he smiled. You're off tonight. I should have argued. I didn't. The proposal happened fast. Too fast. A crowded restaurant. Bright lights. Evan on one knee. I've guided you, protected you, made you better, he said loudly. Will you marry me? People stared. Phones were raised. My heart raced. Say yes, he whispered. Don't panic. I felt trapped between fear and applause. Yes, I said. Cheers exploded around us. Evan stood proud. You did great, he whispered. That night in bed I stared at the ceiling. You're quiet, he said. I'm just tired. He wrapped his arm around me. You don't have to think anymore. I've got you. I closed my eyes and told myself this was love. I didn't know yet that cages don't feel like cages at first. Why didn't you answer my call? Evan asked the moment I walked in. My phone was on silent, I said. He held it up. Silent again? I was busy. With who? He asked, smiling. No one, I said too fast. He stepped closer. You don't need to get defensive. I'm just asking. He scrolled through my messages without waiting. I watched his face instead of the screen. You talk differently with them, he said. They're coworkers. He nodded slowly. You don't need coworkers texting you at night. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't say you were, he replied. I just want you focused. Focus started meaning alone. When I mentioned meeting Maya, his smile faded. She doesn't like me. She worries, I said. About what? He asked. That I care too much? I didn't answer. The next morning, my boss called me into his office. We're letting you go, Mr. Harris said. Letting me go? I repeated. Why? He cleared his throat. It's not working out. When I got home, Evan was calm. You're early, he said. I got fired. He pulled me into a hug. I know. I pulled back. You know? I talked to him, Evan admitted. You were miserable there. That wasn't your decision. I did it for us, he said. Now you don't have to stress. I felt small, but the relief scared me. You can move in, he continued. Stability will help. I didn't say yes. You don't have to, he replied. It makes sense. Claire visited that weekend. She watched Evan adjust my seat, refill my glass. He's protective, she said later. That's just how he loves. He decides everything, I said quietly. She smiled. Some people need that. That night, Evan checked my phone again. Who's Liam? He asked. A coworker. Former, I corrected. You don't need new friends, he said gently. You have me. I feel like I'm shrinking, I whispered. He kissed my forehead. That's anxiety talking. Sometimes I don't recognize myself. That's change, he replied. Growth feels uncomfortable. He wrapped an arm around me and smiled while reading my messages. I only do this because I care, he said. I nodded even as my inner voice went quiet. I told you I'll decide, Evan said from the other room. I stopped walking. No, he won't argue, he continued. He never does. I stood still, my hand on the wall. He was on the phone, pacing. Yes, I'll move him into something quieter, Evan said. Less people. Less influence. My stomach tightened. He doesn't need friends, he went on. He needs structure. I stepped closer to the door. I'll tell him when to smile, Evan laughed. That part's easy. Something inside me went cold. I walked in. Who are you talking about? He turned, phone still to his ear. I'll call you back. He hung up and looked at me calmly. You weren't supposed to hear that. Hear what? I asked. My life being planned? He sighed. You make it sound dramatic. You were deciding my job, I said. My friends? My face. He crossed his arms. Someone has to. Why? I asked. Why do you think you get to? Because you need me, he replied. Without me you fall apart. That's not true. He stepped closer. You were lost before me. I was quiet, I said. Not broken. He smiled. Same thing. I'm not a project, I said. You belong with me, he replied. That's enough. I shook my head. You don't own me. He laughed softly. You'd be nothing without me. The words hit harder than shouting. Something snapped. Not loud. Cling. I'm done, I said. You don't mean that. I do. You'll regret it, he said. You won't survive alone. I can't breathe here, I replied. He stared at me like I'd betrayed him. I waited until he slept. My hands shook as I packed a bag. Shirt. Phone. Wallet. I paused, listening to his breathing. You're safe, he murmured in his sleep. I almost cried. I wrote nothing. I left nothing. The door closed without a sound. Outside, snow fell thick and quiet. The street was empty. I stood there, heart racing. You're making a mistake, his voice echoed in my head. Maybe, I whispered. But it's mine. Each step hurt. Each breath burned. I wasn't brave. I was desperate. Desperate to breathe. The apartment smelled like dust and cheap paint. I dropped my bag and sank onto the couch. Okay, this is it, I whispered to myself. My phone buzzed immediately. Evan. I just want to talk. You left without a word. I stared at it. My fingers hovered over the screen. I don't need this, I muttered, blocking him. A part of me ached anyway. The doorbell rang. I opened it. Maya stood there, smiling like nothing had happened. You look exhausted, she said. I brought groceries. Thanks, I said, embarrassed by how much I needed her. Sit. Tell me what's going on. I shook my head. I don't even know where to start. Start with the basics, she said gently. Did you eat today? No, I admitted. I've been distracted. Distracted by what? By leaving, I said. By everything. She nodded knowingly. I get it. But you're not alone. Not anymore. Later, Dr. Patel's office smelled faintly of lavender. I sat stiffly in the chair. Why are you here? She asked. I need to understand, I said. I feel trapped even though I left. You experienced emotional control, she said slowly. It wasn't just guidance. It was manipulation. Abuse? I whispered. Some people call it that, she said. You can call it whatever feels right. The important part is recognizing it. I felt dizzy, like words I didn't want to hear were suddenly true. That night, my phone buzzed again. Evan. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll change. Then another. You can't do this. You belong to me. I deleted them all. Blocked him. I sank to the floor, hugging my knees. I'm free, I whispered. And it hurts. Tears rolled down my face. I hadn't realized how deep the control ran. Maya called later. Are you okay? I don't know, I said. I hate that I miss him. I hate that I feel relief. You're allowed to feel everything, she said. I cried more, letting it out. The apartment was silent except for my sobs. Freedom wasn't the escape I expected. It was raw, painful, necessary. And for the first time in months, I realized I had to survive myself before I could survive him. I walked into the new office and took a deep breath. First day. Liam asked quietly, holding the door open. Yeah, I said, my voice shaky. He smiled, simple, unassuming. Don't worry. You'll fit in. I nodded, surprised by how calm I felt around him. No judgment. No control. Just respect. During my first week, he said small things. Need help with that? Take your time, he'd say. Felt strange. Good. One evening, Dr. Patel asked, How does it feel to make decisions alone? Terrifying, I admitted. And freeing. You're allowed both, she said. You're relearning yourself. I laughed a little. I didn't know I'd forgotten what my own voice sounded like. You didn't forget. You were silenced, she corrected gently. That day I stopped explaining myself. No more justifying choices, no more second guessing. Liam noticed. You look different, he said. Different how? I asked. Confident. Calmer. You're you, he replied. I felt warmth spread inside. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of being seen. Evan didn't call anymore. His silence was strange at first. Then it became quiet, almost comforting. I walked down streets I had avoided. I stopped in small cafes. I smiled at strangers. I looked in mirrors and recognized myself. Stronger. Healthier. Calmer. One evening my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Evan. I froze. I've changed. Can we talk? I stared, then put the phone down. No reply. I didn't miss him. Not really. I missed who I thought he was. The man I had believed could love me and protect me at the same time. Liam laughed at a joke I hadn't expected to make. I realized I could laugh freely again. Dr. Patel nodded during our session. This is progress. You're learning that love never requires erasure. I nodded, tasting the truth. Christmas decorations appeared in the city. Red and gold lights twinkled in shop windows. A bell rang somewhere and I smiled genuinely. I walked past a cafe window and caught my reflection. I looked whole. Evan texted again later that night. I've waited a year. Can we try? I stared at the screen. My fingers hovered, then pulled away. I don't miss you, I whispered. I miss only the idea of you. I locked my phone. Outside the Christmas lights sparkled. And for the first time I felt truly free. The cafe smelled like cinnamon and roasted coffee. I saw him sitting there, hands clasped, eyes desperate. I know I'm late, Evan started. But I had to see you. I stayed standing. Why now? He looked thinner, weaker. I changed. I swear. You changed, I repeated, unsure if I believed it. I wasn't me, he said quickly. I let fear and stress love control me. I was wrong. You let control me, I corrected. He winced. I know. I see it now. I was stupid. Terrible. I sat across without saying anything. I missed you, he whispered. Every day. You are my home. I stared at him. Nothing stirred inside. That scares me, he admitted. That you feel nothing. I survived, I said. I don't miss you. I miss who I thought you were. His hands trembled. Noah called me. He said business is failing. I am falling apart. I nodded slowly. Is that why you're here? No, he said quickly. I'm here because I love you. I want to start over. Please. I looked at him. The man I remembered was gone. A stranger sat in his place, desperate, fragile, scared. I can't, I whispered. He leaned forward. I'll fix everything. I'll be better. Oh. No, I interrupted. You're not better. You're broken in ways I can't fix. Tears glistened in his eyes. I thought you were my person. My forever. You were always mine. I felt a chill. You were never mine. I was me. You just tried to own me. His shoulders sagged. He whispered almost to himself, you were always meant to be mine. I felt nothing. Cold. Detached. And that realization made him flinch. Evan, I said softly. I survived without you. That's the only truth here. He reached out, stopped halfway and let his hand fall. I don't understand how you can feel nothing, he said, voice breaking. I do, I replied. Because I finally understand what love never is. And you weren't it. He swallowed hard, looking older, smaller. Desperate. But I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. Noah's warning about business haunted the edges of his words, but I ignored it. I paid for my coffee and left, stepping into the cold night. I didn't glance back. His whisper lingered, you were always meant to be mine. I walked on, feeling lighter than I had in years. Freedom had a weight, but it wasn't fear. I was sorting papers when the door opened. Fancy seeing you here, Evan said, leaning against the frame. I froze. Evan, this is work. He smiled too brightly. I know. Just thought I'd drop by. Make sure you're okay. I'm fine, I said, keeping my tone flat. He walked closer. You look tired. I'm busy, I replied. Busy avoiding me? He asked, eyebrows raised. I'm working, I repeated. Later, a box arrived at my desk. A watch. His handwriting, for the person I love. I left it unopened. Ryan appeared that evening at the cafe. I don't know why he's like this, he said, voice low. I didn't ask for. You're confused, I said. I get it. I see myself in you, he admitted. How did you survive? I said softly. By refusing to let him own me. Evan's control started slipping. People noticed. Small things first. Mistakes at work. Snaps in meetings. Claire cornered me one night. You can help him, she said. He's fragile. He needs you. No, I said firmly. I don't. Not anymore. Don't you feel guilty? She asked. Guilt doesn't belong to me, I said. He chose his path. I'm choosing mine. Evan tried again. Texts, calls showing up in streets I walked. Open up, he whispered one night. You belong to me. No, I said. Not anymore. He flinched. Not at me at the word. His power was gone. One afternoon he lost it publicly. Why won't you listen? He shouted in front of the cafe. People turned. Phones came out. His face red, hands trembling. Because I don't owe you anything, I said calmly. You're mine, he yelled. Never, I replied. He stumbled, words spilling over. Threats, confessions, rage. I watched, cold and steady. Ryan and Claire glanced at me, confused. That's him, I whispered. Not the man I thought I knew. He stormed off, leaving a trail of whispers and stares. I felt a strange weight lift. For the first time I chose myself without guilt. Outside the wind was cold. But I walked past him without turning back. He had no power left. Not here. Not over me. I smiled quietly. Freedom wasn't loud. It was steady. And for the first time entirely mine. I heard whispers before I saw him. Business is failing, someone said as I walked past. Evan's empire was crumbling. I didn't gloat. I just walked. Ryan approached me later. I can't stay with him, he said. I saw what he really is. I know, I said softly. You have to do what's right for you. Noah left quietly. Rumors spread. Evan's reputation started to fracture like glass. I heard his name and felt nothing. One evening he appeared at my door. Please, he said, voice trembling. I need to talk. I'm listening, I said calmly. I've lost everything, he shouted. My business, my friends, you left me. I didn't leave, I said. I chose myself. You don't understand, he cried. I need someone to belong to me, to make me feel real. Not me, I said. I belong to myself now. He staggered back, tears streaming. You don't care? I care only about me, I said. I survived without you and I'll continue. I thought you were mine, he said quietly, voice breaking. You believe that, I replied. But no one owns me. Not you. Not anyone. His knees hit the ground. I can't control it. I need someone. You had control before, I said softly. I let go. That's all the revenge I need. He stared at me, silent for a long moment. Realization finally hit him. You're gone, he whispered. You really belong to yourself. Yes, I said. And that's final. The rage faded. What remained was emptiness, loss, and understanding. I never thought it would hurt like this, he said, voice cracking. I thought anger would be enough. Anger is temporary, I said. Freedom isn't. I survived without you. You can't touch me anymore. He slumped further, the weight of his own actions pressing down. I need you back, he tried again, almost pleading. You don't need me, I said. You need control. And I'm not giving it. He looked at me, broken in a way that words couldn't fix. I turned to leave. Outside the wind was cold. His cries faded behind me. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I simply walked. Karma didn't need my hands. Watching him shatter on his own was enough. And for the first time, I felt the quiet satisfaction of being untouchable. I belonged only to myself. I sat across from Dr. Patel, hands wrapped around my mug. Are you ready to forgive yourself? She asked. I think so, I said slowly. It's hard to stop blaming myself. You made the best choices you could, given what you knew, she said. You survived. That's enough. I stayed too long, I admitted. I let him control me. You didn't realize it at the time, she said. You didn't know freedom could feel like withdrawal. I still feel guilty, I whispered. That's normal, she said. Guilt fades when you accept your strength. Later Maya called. You look different, she said, laughing. Happier. Lighter. I admitted. I'm learning to live for myself. You deserve it, she said. I always knew you'd get here. I couldn't have without you, I said softly. I started reconnecting with old friends. It's strange, I told Liam one evening. I forgot how simple conversations could be without tension. He smiled. We're not rushing anything. We can take it slow. Slow is good, I said. I'm not ready to hand over my heart again. Not completely. That's wise, he said. Boundaries matter. I laughed quietly. I never knew boundaries could feel like freedom. One night, walking through the city, I noticed the Christmas lights twinkling above. I stopped. Breathed. Felt whole. Dr. Patel's words echoed. Survival is enough. Growth is victory. I reflected on the past, Evan's control, my fear, my silence. I forgave myself. I whispered to no one. Not him. Never him. He was gone completely. No calls. No messages. No shadow over my life. Maya nudged me gently. You're smiling like you mean it, she said. I am, I replied. I'm finally honest with myself. I walked slowly under the lights, letting the warmth touch my face. Liam's hand brushed mine. You're steady now, he said. I feel steady, I admitted. Come. Whole. We didn't speak much after that. Words weren't needed. The silence was enough. I thought about power, boundaries, and choice. How silence could be stronger than confrontation. I'm done chasing approval, I said softly. That's beautiful, Liam whispered. I looked up at the lights. Red gold sparkling. I survived, I whispered. I lived. I forgave me. And for the first time the cold city felt warm. The past was behind me. The future mine to choose. I stood alone under the Christmas lights, peaceful, complete, and free. I watched the city from my apartment window, lights flickering in rhythm with my heartbeat. No messages. No calls. No shadow. I whispered to myself, he lost me. And that is enough. Maya smiled beside me. You seem lighter. I am, I said. Not because I hurt him, but because I survived myself. She nodded. That's your real victory. I thought about Evan. All his power, all his pride, all his control meaningless now. I spoke aloud, almost to hear my own voice. His greatest loss wasn't money or influence or pride. It was me. My choice. My freedom. Liam walked in quietly. Thinking about him? I am, I admitted. But I don't feel anger. Not anymore. Only calm. Clarity. That's powerful, he said softly. I used to believe love meant surrender, I continued, measured in obedience and fear. I was wrong. Love should never feel like a cage. He reached for my hand gentle. And now, I said, squeezing his hand, love is respect, choice, safety, peace. I closed my eyes. The months of fear, control, and doubt floated away. I remembered Dr. Patel's words, survival is enough. Growth is victory. Maya laughed softly. You're glowing. I've never seen you like this. I've rebuilt myself where no one could touch me, I said. I've learned boundaries, silence, and strength. And, she asked. And I no longer wait for anyone to validate me, I replied. I'm my own home. My own protection. My own peace. A soft Christmas light reflected in the window. I looked at it and smiled. The world keeps moving, Liam said. But you found stillness. Yes, I whispered. Stillness isn't emptiness. It's quiet power. It's owning myself completely. I thought of Evan one last time. I didn't wish him pain. I didn't wish him anger. I simply let him go. You won't reach me again, I said aloud, firm. And that's not cruelty. That's survival. That's transformation. Maya squeezed my shoulder. You earned this. I nodded. My reflection in the glass looked back, strong, calm, unbroken. Love should never feel like a cage, I whispered again. And then quietly I added, I survived. I transformed. I am free. I am mine. The city lights sparkled below, and for the first time I truly believed it.